Hello, everyone, and good afternoon from Dubai. Is my audio clear? Am I audible to you?
Yes, you are.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Yes.
thank you. Thank you so much. And now, welcome to our 75th live webinar. My name is Kriska, and I am delighted to be here with you alongside the TDCC training team. And we are excited to bring you another interesting topic today: why self-regulation matters. OT strategies to support learning, behavior, and emotional well-being. On behalf of TDCC, we would like to thank our 189 advocates from 16 countries who registered for this session. To those who have joined us live here and on YouTube, thank you for your time and for your presence. And of course, we would like to acknowledge our registrants from Algeria, Australia, Egypt, India, Kenya, Kuwait, Malaysia, Nepal, New Zealand, Pakistan, Philippines, Qatar, South Africa, Sri Lanka, UAE, and the UK. So wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Before we begin, let me share a short video about TDCC and our esteemed speaker for today. Thank you.
Welcome to the TDCC Community Live webinar.
TDCC stands for the Developing Child Center located in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, UAE.
Established in 2012. We have been providing personalized support to over 1,000 children. We have 60 dedicated and committed experts, and we work closely with parents and schools to ensure no child is left behind. We think different, we teach different. We empower, not limit children. Labels like autism, dyslexia, and ADHD are not relevant or perceived as disabilities, difficulties, or disorders that limit children's abilities. We believe that brilliance needs difference. The TDCC services are available in English, French, and Arabic. The inclusive educational services nurture and support the developmental and educational needs and help empower each child to reach their full potential. Occupational therapy assists children in performing and achieving important learning and developmental skills they need in life. Psychomotor therapy is a healthcare profession that is based on a holistic view of the person and is involved in the treatment of different disorders. Speech and language therapy assists children who have disorders of speech, language, communication, and swallowing. Psychology provides both educational and clinical services, including counseling and parenting. ABA therapy focuses on improving specific behaviors. It is commonly practiced as a therapeutic intervention for individuals with autism. Specialist learning support. We assist in developing the academic and social development of students who need support in all these areas. And we design and host local and international training and workshops for practitioners, parents, caregivers, and educators. Just like this one today. We have a few rules to follow during the webinar. Please remain muted while the speaker is presenting. Please give your full attention to the presentation. We will be sending you the replay, so you can review it anytime. Please be interactive if the speaker requests your participation. During the question and answer session, we kindly request everyone to type their questions in the chat box and the speaker will address them.
Welcome to the 75th TDCC webinar. Why self-regulation matters, OT strategies to support learning, behavior, and emotional well-being. It is an absolute honor to welcome back Deepti Kadi, who joins us once again to share her experience and expertise. Deepti is a highly experienced pediatric occupational therapist with over 18 years of international clinical experience across India, the UK, and the UAE. She holds a master's degree in occupational therapy from Queen Margaret University, Edinburgh, and has advanced training in sensory integration from the University of Southern California. She has further expanded her clinical expertise through specialized training in craniosacral therapy from the Upledger Institute, USA, and visceral therapy from the Beryl Institute, USA, allowing her to address nervous system regulation, physiological stability, and gut-brain interactions within neurodevelopmental care. Deepti works with children and young adults with neurodevelopmental and sensory regulation challenges, supporting regulation, learning, and functional participation across home and school environments. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Deepti.
Hello, everyone. Very good evening, and thank you for joining me for our journey today with the regulation and how the regulation matters and how to support their learning behavior and make sure that their emotional well-being is also catered in the same way. So before we start this discussion, I just wanted to let you know that it is not very specific. I'm not targeting any specific audio, like specific need of the children's. But as an adult as well, and as a neurotypically developed adult as well, we also have our regulation needs, and we need to regulate ourselves time to time. Just for an example, if you are done with your day and your boss comes and tell you, no, this is the last minute work and you have to do it immediately, and there is a timeline as well, before you start that work, probably you will take a very quick break. You will take either a coffee break, or you will just go and take a walk, or maybe smoke outside. So what you're doing then, you're trying to regulate yourself. So it's not that only the kids with determination or with some needs a regulation. As an individual, we all need to regulate time to time in our daily lives, right? So and also one more thing, I'm going to share my perspective. So throughout all these years, through my experience, how I help the other kids and families to regulate and feel better and feel safe in their own environment, and how to learn better. So as you all know, that there is no one size fits all, right? And there are so many different approaches and different strategies everybody is nowadays sharing. So please be mindful of that this is my perspective. And if you have used it or you are using it, well and good. If you haven't tried it, I would definitely insist you to try it and see and share your views later on. So here we go. Let's see what is self-regulation. So what exactly the self-regulation means? So it's an ability to monitor and manage your energy state, emotion, thoughts, and behaviors. And it needs to be just right energy, isn't it? So for example, you are driving. Now in UAE, you want to drive fast, you go to the leftmost lane. You want to drive slow, you go to the rightmost lane, isn't it? And then, so within that lane, when you are following those rules and you are maintaining your speed limits in that particular lane, or which is specifically for that particular lane, you are just right. You're running your engine just right. So it doesn't mean that, if somebody is going slow in a slow lane, is doing something wrong. He is driving as per the rules of regulation. So maintaining just their energy in a right way. So for example, there is some wrong, before the example, I will just try to tell you what are the misconceptions. So the misconception is a very calm child is a regulated child. What I'm going to do with that calmness when there is a sport event? I need a child cheerful. I need a child with the maximum energy. He's going to yell, he's going to cheer his friends. And that sort of energy is perfect, just right for that particular event. Whereas during the classroom where the learning is happening, I also need an alert brain, active brain. He needs to be calm, but at the same time, he needs to be active, or only calmness will not help, right? So you need just the right amount of energy, and that is called as a self-regulation. As we all know, our brain is such a high-tech device, isn't it? It's just like a circuit board. Now, as you can see it here in the picture, okay, there is a vision system, our smell, then we get a lot of responses from your muscles, tendons, joint sense. We have a vestibule here, which deals with the movements. So, taste, hearing, everything. Okay, so it almost like eight distinct sensory inputs the brain is receiving constantly, including your internal body state, which we refer it as an interoception. Like how your body is feeling today. Is it calm? Is it restless? Are you feeling hungry? Are you thirsty? Are you exhausted? So these are all. How is your heart pumping? Is your heart pumping too fast because you're anxious? So this sort of internal body state as well. So the brain is receiving this information, processing it, and taking an action every single time, every single second maybe, and it is never shut down. So during this thing, when these inputs are processed correctly, the brain is ready to learn. If all the information is going to the brain and the brain doesn't know what to do, where this information is coming from, they are not able to decode the information further and doesn't know whom to send it, whether, oh, is it regarding the motor? Is it regarding the food? Is it regarding to the smell? I'm feeling so overwhelmed. If brain is not able to decode this information and not able to pass it on to the further delicate controls like a motor cortex or the speech cortex, then obviously there is going to be a lot of chaos. And then the learning will not happen. And that is the reason why you need to be more regulated if you want to learn better. Because then your brain is, when the brain is not in a chaotic situation, he feels more safe and more ready to learn. So how does it matter is, as you know, in a social situation, the regulation is needed to take the turns, listen, read social cues. In academic, you need to process most of the maths, reading, follow the instructions. Here are the instructions in that busy environment, around 20 to 30 kids, filter out the teacher's instructions and the voice from the other environmental noises and behave appropriately. And when sometimes that doesn't happen, and then you have to deal with the behavior, which is mostly the meltdowns, which stems out of inability to regulate because they do not understand what is happening and they are not very defined. So what the dysregulation looks like, because we have talked a lot about the regulation. Now let's see what the dysregulation looks like. Dysregulation occurs when the brain and body are overwhelmed and cannot manage incoming sensory and emotional information. Okay, so when the information is going, but brain doesn't know what to do with this information, which is coming to me, and I'm like overwhelmed with all this information is coming, what happens? So sometimes you will see the manifestation of uncontrollable laughter, speaking fast, fast and hard movements where the child keep spacing out between the spaces, like keep walking, jumping, excessive saliva, dilated pupils, loud voices. This is how the dysregulation looks like. With some kids, mostly on the spectrum, you will see them stimming. There might be a thought stimming, there might be a verbal stimming, visual stimming, hand flapping. So there's all, they use it to control themselves. Yeah, so there is always a window of a tolerance. So I just wanted to let you know, or want to present you one of the analogies, which we call it as a gas and brake, because when this chaos is happening, what can happen, how these behaviors are manifested. So mostly sometimes, and we always, when you must be talking to the therapist, most of the times you have heard us saying, oh, there is a fight flight reaction, it is a freeze, the child has been frozen. So what exactly is this? So when the fight and flight mode happens, it's mostly coming from the hyperarousal. So just for example, you're driving a car and your gas pedal gets stuck. What will happen? There will be too much of energy. The child will feel anxious, angry, chaotic, and unsafe. Like, you're just, you're stuck at your gas pedal, and the car will move very, very fast. Either you will try to control it or find a way which lane is free so you can drive safe. So you are constantly under that pressure, isn't it? The same way the child will feel if he is hyper aroused, and it will be looking like yelling, hitting, running, and inability to sit still. Whereas, on the contrary, if your brake pedal is stuck, there will be a low of energy. The car will not get pumped ahead. It will be a very slowly running on the roads. And what it will look like in a child, zoning out, head on the desk, very ignoring the instruction. Sometimes teacher complains or tell the parents while giving the feedback. They say, oh, he was daydreaming today. I don't know what happened to him. He was moving. Everything was very slow. Following instructions was very, very slow. So if you do not want to have all these things, okay, there should be a balance. And where should be the balance? The balance should be with your pedals. So in the brain, where are our pedals? Okay, where are our pedals which impact on our learning and behavior? So the regulated brain is a learning mode, and who helps to learn us more better is here, this prefrontal cortex, right? Because the task of the prefrontal cortex is more of a thinking, problem solving, being focused, emotionally being in control. And the prefrontal cortex is online. We call it as a online, okay? Whereas if you're seeing here, the small yellow almond-shaped like structure, which is called as amygdala. Now, this is another pedal which always tell us about the danger. It lets us aware about whether we are safe, we are unsafe, whether the situation is alarming, whether the situation is not alarming. And what happens most of the time when this amygdala is the pedals get stuck with the amygdala, what happens is prefrontal cortex shutdowns. It goes offline. As soon as it goes offline, our ability to process the information, do the problem solving, being emotionally controlled, everything crashes. And when we feel very much unsafe, that's the time the child starts feeling anxious, and all the meltdowns, emotional turbulence, everything is very much gets visible. You know what is the other thing of the amygdala is is a part of a large network in the brain, which called as a limbic system. And this limbic system is is playing a very crucial role in learning as well. And it is closely connected with the hippocampus as well. And hippocampus is something with the memory. It is the center of a memory. So obviously, when your amygdala gets heightened and your prefrontal cortex gets shut down and doesn't allow you to think for more options, obviously the learning cannot happen. And there is no point of learning because your hippocampus, which is mostly responsible for the memory which you needed for the learning, gets also shut down. There is no retrieval of the memory happens, and that is mostly important. If the child is very dysregulated, there is no point sitting down and asking them to finish that particular task. You cannot force a child when he's dysregulated because nothing is going to happen. Probably there will be a escalation of the behavior rather than any sort of a learning. Now we drew almost all the way on the rules, so let's little bit take a deep dive into the C and let's see what it looks like. Yeah. So we always call it as an iceberg. The behavior is an iceberg, right? So what we see on the top is most of the behaviors that they shout, they hit, they throw the things, they say the things which are inappropriate, their body feels out of control, keep running. And we only try and sometimes deal with this behavior. But underneath this iceberg, there are so many different reasons for manifestation of these behaviors, which can be anything like unmet physical needs. Child must be hungry, maybe tired, constipated. There could be some mitochondrial disorder with the gut system. They might be emotionally struggling, feeling frustrated because they can't complete the task or they do not understand the task. Might be the situation is too loud and chaotic with too many people around. They are constantly feeling worried and scared. So there can be a very different reasons why these behaviors are seen or why the child is behaving like this. Child doesn't behave because he's a bad guy, but underneath there are so many different reasons could be which critically needs to be analyzed. So then how as an occupational therapist we work around? So we see the iceberg, we see that there are behaviors, but we try and see where these behaviors are coming from. Are they coming from some coping, difficulty with the copings, difficulty with the feelings? There are some perception issues. Are the expectations not met? What exactly is it with the sensory? Is it with the emotional? What exactly is happening? That's a job of an occupational therapist to do it, to not look at only the iceberg, but to look underneath and try and critically analyze the information and then find out the reasons for these behaviors. Then what is the next step? After understanding these behaviors, where they are coming from, we have to also make sure, okay, if the behaviors are expected, behaviors are met, it means which sensory systems are safe for them. In which sensory systems they are fine and ready for learning, where they can follow the directions. Whereas when the unexpected behaviors happens with lot of confusion and unsafe environment, we might be able to interpret it more during the session that where exactly is the behavior is stemming out from. Okay, when the unexpected behaviors are seen, they are actually giving us the signal that the child needs support. They need a clarity. There is a need for them to get regulated. And if we are able to meet their needs, then obviously these unexpected behaviors we can turn into more expected behaviors. So what do we do then? We obviously use the 3 different phases to do this. One is which we call it as a sensory regulation, which is we call it as a body approach. Yeah, we work a lot with the senses. Now everybody knows if it is an OT, they are going to use a lot of movement equipments, different types of swings, heavy muscle activities where the child is going to do more of exercises, maybe the different listening programs to develop their auditory processing. There could be, if the therapist is more trained into cranial and visceral therapies, then they are going to change and make sure the gut-brain axis is developed, and the more interoception is developed with that particular child. If it is related to the vision, if the vision perception skills are met or not. So what are the skill set areas they have to work on? Whether it is a gross motor skills, fine motor skills, this is all skill set areas also looked and dealt under the sensory regulation. Then the next phase is co-regulation. And how do we make this happen? What we do to co-regulate the child? Okay, so we try and read the child's nonverbal cues, how their posture is. Are they too sloppy? Are they too alert? Oh, are they pacing out too much? What happened before the trigger happens? How was their breathing? Are they suddenly, there is a scream? And then to match with their sensory needs. So obviously, if I'm saying a child with a very high energy, I have to keep my voice low. I have to give him slow movements. I have to bring them down to my energy level. So basically, when their amygdala is getting stuck and their prefrontal cortex is offline, I have to use and give them my prefrontal cortex, my energy to co-regulate and do the problem solving. Okay. And if the child is with a very low energy, then probably I have to upbeat my voice. If the child is low energy, I cannot keep my voice low as well. I have to upbeat his energy. Come on, let's do this. Okay. So obviously this upbeat voice and the more of rigorous movements is going to bring them alertness. Obviously, when these things are happening, again, I have to model something. What I'm going to model? I'm going to model and narrate them their emotions. Oh, if the child is feeling sad or frustrated, I'm going to just acknowledge their feelings, that how they are feeling right now. Oh, are you feeling frustrated because I have stopped this activity, because we have to leave this activity? Or are you frustrated? Are you feeling sad because you don't want to do this? Are you feeling upset? Oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe let's take some deep breaths. Let's try and drink some water and help them co-regulate and introduce them how to co-regulate with the different activities. Because when the child is in that phase of high energy, the more demands are going to be affecting them. Their amygdala is going to feel more alert and going to feel more, and the child is going to feel more unsafe. So rather than giving them instructions, probably I would just give them the therapy to calm down, give them something in the hand, give them water, keep my voice low, talk very slow, not too much of instruction. Probably I will use my vibrator to give them some sort of a vibrating massage just to calm them down, depending upon their sensory needs, as I said earlier as well. And then the last phase is emotional regulation and how we make them emotionally regulate. Okay, so with the emotional regulation, we use different approaches. Okay, how to work, how to run your engine, zones of regulation. There is a superflex. So depending upon the child's verbal level and comprehension skills, these different approaches are used and modeled to the child, so that the child not only understands the vocabulary of the feelings, but also understand the complex feelings, big emotions, and what to do when they are in state of those big emotions. So whatever the therapist has used during the co-regulation phase, our goal is that whether the child is able to identify that tool and use it to regulate themselves rather than asking the swing or asking particular access to the therapist. So, as I said it earlier as well, there is no one size fits all. Okay, each and every child is unique. They are wired differently. One child may get calmed down with the vibration. The other child may calm down only with the therapy or something with the tactile. Few children, they calm down by looking outside with the nature, having a walk, looking outside the window, looking at the greenery. And these are mostly the prefrontal cortex regulation techniques. So here I have a calm down menu for you. So when there is a low energy is what you have to do, okay? And when there is a high energy needed, what you have to do. So when there is a low energy is needed, you have to cover with a fluffy blanket, drink some water, give them some hugs. So giving them hugs in the sense of a proprioceptive input. So you can use maybe the weighted lap pads, you can use fluffy blankets, drink waters. Whereas when the child needs the bit of a more of a high energy or with the high energy, you can go for a walk in a nature, do maybe a fun exercises, bit of a dance to a song. I love Danigo, and I usually recommend the parents as well to, you know, during the home environment to go with the Danigo because that's something kids love it as well. Creative outlets, like more of a calming things, right? More of a calming things. They can do the coloring, they have just a calm down square, maybe a tent where they can just go inside and do nothing. Just calm down. Sometimes with the deeper pressure, sometimes there is no need of a pressure. So these are the different approaches depending upon the child's need. Again, the sensory system is so complex, and sometimes, though I'm saying it that with the high energy you do the exercises, sometimes sometimes with some kids I've seen that they actually get at right energy or they get more regulated with bit of exercises as well. So again, depending upon the child's need and how the child's sensory profile is, you have to use this calm down menu for them. Throughout this practice, like mostly 17 to 18 years I'm in a practice now, and the most effective tool which I have learned throughout these years is the communication. If your communication with child is very, very strong and not broken, you can regulate that child, doesn't matter how bad the meltdown is. What happens during this, as I'm constantly coming back and reminding you guys about the amygdala and how if the amygdala gets stuck, how our prefrontal cortex shuts down. Okay, that time, though the child is verbal, non-verbal, though we know that they can't express themselves, but even with the verbal kids, okay, the words fail. In high stress moments, the language centers of the brain shut down. And you cannot wait for those kids. You have to give them the words. You have to fulfill the need for the communication. You have to talk. You have to give them the scripts. I feel frustrated, or I'm feeling overwhelmed. Okay, when I'm doing this particular thing, I'm not liking it. I do not like to go on my tummy on the swing. This is very, very uncomfortable for me. Or this task, this puzzle is too difficult. I feel I feel very upset. I'm angry. I can't fix this puzzle. I need a break. I need a space. So modeling them through the communication scripts helps them to open up. And I have seen it mostly when specifically when there are non-verbal kids are there, and if you have guessed it right what their needs are, and you have fulfilled their language, okay, you have remodeled the language what they want to try and say it, they will immediately stop crying and they will give you a look where you can, oh, you understood what I mean, now help me to get more regulated. So the communication is a major key throughout the process of regulation. The other important thing is learning through play. Now, if you want a child not to run, or if you want a child follow the command of stop or don't do this, okay, you have to teach them earlier through play and not the time when they are in that situation and with their big emotions. So what are these games? For example, the red light, green light. Okay, so green means go far, you are ready to go. The red means you have to stop. But again, I would like to bring to your notice that these kids associate with the colors and with the things very quickly. So if you are doing the zones of regulation with these kids, and if you have used the red card as a sign of an angry feeling, then you can't use the same red card to tell them stop, because they are going to misunderstand this. So what objects you are using to play these games is also very, very important, not to mislead the child. Because first of all, the transitionings are very hard, and that's the reason these kids associate to particular routines. And then if you use this different, like the same thing for teaching them the behavior and playing the game with, they are going to have a difficult time to co-regulate with you. Again, if you want them to follow the commands, you can play the Simon Says. There are a lot of zones of regulation games which you can use it. I love Jenga. Mostly the kids who are on the sensory processing disorder, and mostly the ADHD kids, where they can learn the patience, focus, and staying calm under the pressure. And again, the same thing, do not forget while playing this game as well to communicate with the child and let them know how they feel, because that's very important. So let's see how to address these specific challenges. For example, throwing behavior, okay? Always, as a therapist, I always ask myself a question, that why? Why this child must be throwing a particular object or a toy? What he's getting out of it? Is it for the frustration? Is it a seeking? It is an overstimulation? Is it a stimming? Because most of the time parents come to me and they say, oh, he likes to pour the bags and try, he enjoys seeing things falling off. Then whether it is a water, whether it is a crayons, just throwing things, and it's not because they want to make a mess, okay? Probably they don't understand how to play with. They are trying to, as I said, they are trying to stim with it to regulate themselves. So what I have to do, I have to teach them the skills and also make sure that I'm satisfying their need of throwing. So instead of throwing toys or throwing pen and mobile, I can tell them, okay, let's throw the ball and not the toy. And I'll try playing. Probably I will try and throw the bin bags in the target area. And slowly I'll try and get that child regulated with. The separation anxiety. It is not a manipulation. It is a panic response. When I'm out of my comfort zone, or the person who I trust the most, my caregiver, my parents, are not there and I'm in a danger. Again, it's because the prefrontal cortex is offline. When prefrontal cortex is offline, they can't think of problem solving. They cannot regulate their emotion. And what's important then is to have a consistent reconnections, assuring them that they are fine. They are going to be feeling fine about it. And sometimes, choose probably a certain choice. Okay, mama cannot come in, but probably your doll can come in with you. And then, as a therapist, it's my job how to get her involved into the therapy sessions and how to make her more comfortable. But slowly, if you want to work on this separation anxieties, you have to use the other tools. You have to see, okay, what the child's sensory needs are, probably the squishy toy, the therapy, maybe the stretchy noodles. They will be able, because it's going to stay in their hand. They try to control the situation. They want to feel safe in that new environment, or even if it is a new environment and there are demands, they always want to feel safe. And that's how to overcome their anxiety with it. But one more thing, when you are doing this, you have to be also careful about the child is not getting stuck in using the same toy, same equipment, same tool. He's not getting attached with. You have to make sure that you are slowly fading these things away, and also that every time they are coming to the sessions, after a few sessions, change the toy. Or maybe Dolly doesn't want to come today. Would you like to take this thing instead? Offer them, help them to change and transition better. Because the moment they stick to particular routine, the transitioning and separation becomes extremely difficult. Rather than co-regulating them, again, what you are trying to do is escalating their emotions and escalating their behaviors as well. So you make sure that they are not getting too much attached to it. There's so many people ask about the screen meltdowns as well. And I guess my colleagues in the past as well, they have given a webinar on this. However, I'll give you a quick insight into it. So as soon as you stop, it's like a dopamine, isn't it? Like, forget about these kids. As an adult, we are also attached so much. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook. Without seeing it, we can't go to the bed, isn't it? We are constantly on our phones as well. So that's the screen time, and that is the reason why the specialists are saying it again and again, that do not touch your mobile near to the bedtime, because it gives you dopamine, and when it gives you dopamine, you want to keep watching it. It affects your sleep. If it affects your sleep, you find it very hard to get up in the morning. Then the whole thing, like whole daily routine, is getting ruined as well. So when the dopamine drops, what to do? How to offer them the healthier dopamine? So what they are doing on this laptops or on the screens, there is a constant movement, right? There is a constant movement of these pictures. So what you can do is, probably you can go for a natural walk. You can go and just sit and watch the busy road, because the cars are going to move fast. You can jump on a trampoline. You can provide them the healthier dopamine options. Okay, maybe the movements, connection to help the brain adjust with it, playing some games, rolling them, tossing them, crashing them in their bed, which is more of a fun, which will also give them the dopamine. So if you really want to work on taking down or cutting down on the screen time, probably that's the best option. Yeah, my teacher friends, they always ask, okay, give us some tools. Now, here are your tools. What you can do, you can use a completely different tools and tools in the classroom. Now, you can have your TheraBand used and attached to the legs of the table where you can get the proprioceptive input. You can have the standing desk. Nowadays, in the offices as well, they are allowing the colleagues to work on the high-rise tables, and it's all right to work in a standing. There is no need of sittings. And most of, in some of the Dubai schools as well, they have this higher tables where the child can stand. So they are very been accommodative and, inclusive about their needs as well, where they can use it. You have the different floor chairs, the egg chairs for sitting during the carpet time and get regulated. Also, the wiggle cushions are like they are very known to everyone. However, sometimes they don't work. And why they don't work? Because as I said it, if the child's profile is different, you have to think differently. Yes, it is called wiggly cushion. To sit on it doesn't mean that you have to keep sitting on it. If the child's need is more of a tactile, probably you can keep it under the feet. Let them feel it. As soon as that tactile movement is tactile information, they receive it or they get regulated with that sensory information, they are going to get calmer and going to pay more attention. Now, I have also seen some of the LSAs, okay, when we have said it, okay, it's all right. If he doesn't want to sit on it, keep it under the feet or, just keep it on the table so he can stroke his hands with it. They give it and then immediately they start, okay, let's go. Now your break is finished. Let's go on to the next start. It won't work. Until and unless their need is met, they are not ready for learn again. So probably how to, and sometimes the teacher also during the meetings, they bring it up that, oh, but no, he starts playing with it and then he's not focused, so it's not helping. Yeah, but there is a way to fade it away as well. Okay, you have to tell the child that, okay, this is going to be for 3 minutes, or let's count 10. Stroke your hands or stroke your feet. We are going to count 10 and then we are going to finish and we are going to go back to the task. When there are clear instructions, these tools definitely helps. Okay, whenever you are giving the movement breaks as well, you make sure that the movement breaks are given with the time, because though the child needs this movement break, you have to also make sure that these movement breaks are structured. Some of the kids, they get into the movement and they get so overly excited rather than getting calmed down. What happens is the shadows or the teachers find it hard to bring them back to the task. So you have to really make sure what sort of movement breaks you are giving to these kids. Noise cancelling headphones. Nowadays, in like most of the schools, the noise cancelling headphones are there. And just, I would like you to also observe this a little bit. Sometimes the hyperactivity or overly activity is seen due to a lot of noise as well. When the child is not able to filter out the auditory information and not able to understand the particular task, they becomes overly active. So if you have certain kids like that, just try and see if you're just going to put those headphones on and are they going to feel better or not. Similarly with the chewies. Now, if the child is putting something in the mouth or they are going to bite, the first option is, okay, give them the chewies. Okay, but sometimes giving them the chewies is not the best option because they are going to keep taking on to it. So you have to give them the other sensory feedback as well during the same time. So you have given the chewy and then see if the child is feeling calmer by giving them the squeezes. That is the reason the most of times either they are biting their fingers or they are biting on their wrists because they need an extreme input here. Use your vibrator. Keep a small vibrator and put it on the put it on the hand, and it will definitely stop, and they will not need it because sometimes they need it because of this proprioceptive feedback. They needed it most. So many times we have seen the child, trying to chew on their collars of the t-shirts or the front of the t-shirt, putting the pencil in the mouth, and then again the chewy toppers and everything has been given. Again, sometimes due to when the child wants to focus more as well, sometimes the kids do that. What is more effective in those cases is probably putting the noise cancelling headphones. They are able to focus better, and then they will not put this. You will not need the child to give the chewy toppers, or they will not put their t-shirts or collar of the t-shirts in their mouth, and they will be able to regulate themselves as well. So it doesn't mean always that if the child is putting something in the mouth, it means that he seeks the oral input. That is something very wrong concept. The king of a sense. I called it a king of a sense because what funny and thing about the proprioception and heavy work is when the child is very, very low, it can give you a perk and that dopamine to get it back. And when child is overly active as well, and he has more and more energy, it can be used as a calming activity as well. So it has both. It can give you dopamine, it can calm you down as well. Okay, so mostly in the school settings where you need this quickly get them to regulate and do the work and focus on the work. Wall push-ups, pressing on the table, pressing on the therapeutic, giving them some tasks to distribute the papers. While going on the playground, they can carry their peers' water bags, cans, use the trolleys while going to the library, taking a long walk to the library. Those are also a good options for the proprioceptive feedback. And that is the reason why it is called as a king of sense, because it releases the calming mechanisms in the brain as well to calm down. And it can also give the energy to a tired child as well. What are the alternative supports? Sometimes when the child is with a very big emotions and in the high state of emotional level, sometimes the talking doesn't help, because remember, I also told you that the language center shuts off as well. They don't want to hear anything. And what helps them, rather than you counting 1, 2, 3, 4, just showing them the fingers, giving them the visual support, putting the timers. Okay, I hear you. You are upset. You are sad. Yeah. Maybe let me also sit down with you and we both will calm down together. Just take deep breathing. Don't ask them to breathe in and out, because then again, that adds as a demand. So when you model it, when you are breathing in and out, slowly the child starts following it as well. though they don't follow it, just with that rhythm of your deep breathing, they get calmed down. So these are the different options. You can use it as well. You can use the zones of regulation charts. You can use the visual schedules, like, okay, you're doing this, and then we are going home. We all do that. I'm sure you do first this, next this, and then this is mostly important, creating a calm corner. Now, I have been to so many schools and they have told me, yeah, Aditi, come see, this is our calm corner. And when I'm trying to see what is there to the calm, there are a lot of charts there. There is a lot of visual thing. There are a lot of things kept in there. And I don't see any calming corner there because it is so overwhelming at the same time. So if you have a very busy class and you do not have anything, just have maybe a small tent there and some light and calming lights, or keep the box, whatever the childs want to choose from it and feels calm with, he can take that and go inside and feel calm in the classroom calming corner. Calming corner means, yeah, there should be a crash mat so they can lay down, or maybe a bin bag, okay, which calms them down. There should be, but it should be a very limited resources, or if you want the resources, you keep it in the box, help the child to choose the right one, and then go inside the tent, give them the timeline. Baba, this is the time, you have to come back. Okay, I'm giving you a break. You calm down yourself there. If you need me, let me in. If the child denies it, let the child go alone, but have some boundaries and timeline as well when they are going to come back. Again, the sensory diet also helps during the calming corner. But again, when the child is jumping on the trampoline, be careful. As I said it, sometimes more movements can get them dysregulated as well. Okay, probably I'm coming towards the end, I guess. I hope you guys are still with me and not feeling bored. I'm not calling this as a meltdown response curve. I'm specifically calling this as an anxiety and stress response curve. And that's because we need to understand what strategies we have to use in which phase, okay? The child was very calm, very regulated, very focused. Something suddenly happened while doing the task, okay? Now, when that happened, the first thing, as I said it, ask a question, why? Not to a child, but to yourself. When you have seen him suddenly throwing the pencil, or suddenly started stimming, or making the noise, okay, just see what unexpected change has happened. Which demand is there that the child is feeling frustrated and sensory overwhelmed, whether it is a fatigue, hunger, and offer them the help at that moment. Help them to co-regulate and offer the help at that moment, the fidget toys, or giving them some deep pressure, giving them a little bit of a movement, giving them the TheraBand to pull so they can calm down themselves, the therapeutic. This is the phase when there is a trigger. When you have seen the first trigger, you have to give it. When you have seen it is rising up, you should only make sure, when you have seen, okay, these things are not helping, or you have missed this level, second level, and you have seen the child is getting more anxious and agitated, the first thing is to make sure to give the child and yourself a safe place where the meltdown can happen. Let them calm down. Sometimes it's very difficult. And sometimes, I'm telling you, as though I'm very experienced, sometimes I do not understand it, what went wrong. And at that point, what is best is to make sure the other peers around the child is safe, or the siblings are safe, you are safe, the child is safe. Make sure that there is enough of cushions so he doesn't hurt himself during that meltdown. Keep yourself safe. Let the meltdown happen. Okay. Only acknowledge his feeling at that point of time. Do not try and give any of the tools to regulate himself, because either he's going to throw it or he's going to feel it as a demand. At that moment, that escalation moment, you cannot do anything. When the de-escalation moment is happening, that's the time to give a comfort to the child, because these children, after the meltdown, when the de-escalation phase starts, they feel the guilt if they have shouted, if they have thrown something, if they have broken something, if there is extreme. So what they want is not to feel guilty at that point of time. So to acknowledge it, I know you felt very, very sad. I know you were very, very unhappy and you did that. It was very wrong that you broke that toy. But I understand it, how you must be feeling at that moment. Give them the deep pressure. Do not talk more. Keep the language also a little bit minimal. Slowly in the recovery phase, breathe bodily, emotionally. When he's settled, give him more squeezes. Then you are ready to connect. When you got the eye contact, you have seen, okay, there are signs of him calming down, okay, and the de-escalation has happened, then is the time to address what has happened. Or sometimes it is best not to talk at that moment either, because this process can take up to from 20 minutes to an hour as well. What is the important goal here is to support recovery and return to calm and not punish behavior. What is the therapy analogy? So affirming approach and permissive approach. And so many times I have seen misunderstanding this concept of affirming approach. It is validating the feelings and hold clear limits to guide the behavior rather than follow the child's lead. Sometimes some misunderstanding is that you have to follow the child's lead, and that's the affirming approach. But it's not. You validate their feeling, you set the clear boundaries, teach them the coping skills so they can help with the transitionings, build the long-term regulation. And in all those processes, it is always important that you keep developing child skill sets. If the child develops certain skill sets, how to play by himself, how to play differently, how to engage himself in a productive way, even slowly the steamings comes down. So the first and most important after the sensory regulation or during the sensory regulation, co-regulation, it is always important to keep it in a mind that I want to develop certain skill set in my child. And what not to do, what to avoid in this journey is the setting limits. Oh no, but he always, wants to only take this particular toy with him. Okay, I'm not going to disturb him. I'm not going to change his routine. If he has asked something, I have to give it to him. Okay, given to his demands. Oh no, if I'll not give him a screen time now, he's going to start crying. No, don't allow that. Allows this is going to be, rather than co-regulating and giving them the skill set and helping them to develop, you are actually being a hurdle for their progress. Stopping the difficult task and removing demands immediately to calm them down without giving them any of the sensory tools to regulate and continue the task. And in long term, it is a risk. So affirming approach provides support and structures, tells you how to give the safe environment to the child, how to make him understand the certain things. Whereas the permissive approach removes the limits, and the guidance. So what are the key points we are going to take from this webinar today is behavior is communication, and you have to keep communicating with the child. Look for the dysregulation, not at the iceberg, but the beneath. Sensory first, check the environment, whether it was a loud noise, whether it was too bright, whether there is a need to move, giving them time, connecting, then correcting. Do not correct them in that de-escalation phase. Okay, let them recover it. That's the time for you to connect with them, acknowledge how they felt. Okay, and then regulate together. Also, sometimes it's all right. You will not know where the triggers were, and you don't need to feel very guilty about it. Oh, but that, I should have picked up at that moment, and I should have helped him to regulate. It wouldn't have escalated. No. When that thing happens, you calm down yourself first. You first work on your regulation. Because if your prefrontal cortex also shut down, you won't be able to help the child to calm down and regulate better. So when the meltdowns happens, the most important thing is to keep yourself calm at that moment so that you can help the other child more better. Also, sometimes we don't understand. We do not understand why they were feeling sorry. Remember, I told you that keep talking to them and you will feel that when you have guessed it right, they will give you the hint that yes, you're right, and they will stop the behavior, right? Sometimes you will not know it, and it's all right not to know it. What you need to do at that moment is you just need to acknowledge, oh, I'm so sorry. I still don't know what do you want. I really wanted to help you. I really wanted to make you feel better, but I really don't know what happened. I'm really sorry. Even this thing helps them. It doesn't mean that they understood you completely, but they understood the emotion of it. So yeah, just make sure that if you have known what are the triggers, you make sure that you have addressed it and help them regulate it. If not, then just acknowledge that, yeah, you couldn't. Don't cry next time, because when you cry and talk, I fail to understand what you wanted. And calm them down. And here I go. Thank you for listening this patiently. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Dipti, for that informative presentation today. And yes, we do have one question here from Nancilia, and I will read. For nonverbal children, what is the way forward? Most have no eye contact and cannot yield to persuasion.
You know what works most with these nonverbal kids? If you know what their sensory needs are, if you start using their sensory needs, there will be an eye contact they will start working on, and most effectively working with your speech therapist. Aligning your goal with the speech therapist and using your AAC device and the pictures. That works the best with the nonverbal kids when you want to teach them these skill sets.
And another one, and maybe it will be our last question. Yeah,
I'm so sorry. I took a lot of time while doing the presentation.
Yeah. You can email us your questions if you have. Okay, and so this is from Fuad. And he said, thank you, Ms. Dipti, for this insightful and valuable webinar. My question is, how can we effectively distinguish between a behavioral choice and a sensory-driven meltdown? And what are the immediate red flags that suggest a child needs a sensory break rather than a behavioral correction?
See, again, the behavioral correction, my friend, when even when it is escaping behavior, okay, the underlying thing is either the task is too difficult for him, and that's the reason he doesn't want it. Okay, so when the tasks are difficult, you have to again acknowledging, and communication is the best part of it. If you tell them, okay, I understand this is too difficult, let's try and do it together. Okay, if even after this, either you help them and you take an initiative to put, for example, if it is regarding the puzzle, you put two pieces in and help them identify the other one and put it. It should be very quick, because at that moment, what they need is the quick response for seeing that, okay, I will be able to do this and I'll be able to finish this task. That is for your behavior. How you would know that it's not the escaping from the task or the learning for a behavior is immediately when they start throwing, or there will be a more of a noise, more of a dysregulation. You will hear the palpitations, you will know from their breathing up and down, the fast breathing as well. Okay, sometimes those kids who are very tactile sensitivity or anxious, you will see they're more sweating on their hands. So these are the red flags, I would say, that you will see it and you will know, okay, now it's a time to take a sensory break and, move away from the task. Sometimes, even though if it is like this situation, probably I don't move sometimes, means it depends, again, as I'm telling you again and again, that you have to take your own call. And just in that case, sometimes I give the sensory breaks at the table. I don't move immediately away from the task, because then the child learns that, oh, okay, so I can do this and I can get away with the task as well. I will always give, even if it is a proprioceptive input, if it is a visual input, I will always be sitting with my things nearby me to provide them with that quick sensory release. And then again, as I said it, having a visual time, helping them to calm down, giving them a hug, squeezes, everything, and continuing the task. Hello.
Hi, Dipti. Hello. Thank you again, Dipti. Thank you so
Thank you
much for
so
this
much.
beautiful presentation.
Thank you. See you and have
Yeah,
a good
bye.
day. Bye.
And thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate your time and participation live here and on YouTube. And we hope you found today's webinar helpful. We would like to invite you for another webinar on February 6th with the topic Building Flexibility, Teaching Children with Autism to Navigate Transitions Successfully, to be delivered by the ABA department. See you next month.
Thank you so much.